You've probably PayPal'd someone before, right? It's just a part of life online. But I bet you haven't heard the full story behind it. A story of pure genius, incredible betrayal, and the really complicated legacy of the company that completely changed how we send money.
And that quote really gets to the heart of it. PayPal's journey is this legendary Silicon Valley tale, but it has this brutal, dark twist. It's the story of a revolution that, in the end, kind of turned on the very people it was supposed to help.
So you'd think a giant like PayPal must have started with some grand, perfect vision for online payments, right? Well, the reality is way more surprising. It all kicked off with a pretty flawed idea and a really unlikely partnership right in the middle of the dot-com boom. Okay, so picture this. It's 1998. A brilliant young programmer, Max Levchin, teams up with Peter Thiel, a sharp tech investor. Their first idea? A company called FieldLink, made to secure those old Palm Pilot handhelds. It didn't work out, but they didn't give up. They pivoted to a new, kind of wild idea, beaming money between those devices. They called the new company Confinity, and their shiny new product? Yep, that was PayPal. And this is where the story just gets insane. In the very same building, literally right next door, was a 27-year-old Elon Musk. He had just sold his first company and was pouring all his cash into something way bigger, X.com, a plan to build a digital superbank and totally revolutionize finance. The coincidence is just incredible. Now, at first, these two companies weren't really competing. Confinity was all about Palm Pilots, and X.com was this huge superbank idea. But they both understood this one critical concept that would basically set them on a collision course: the network effect. You know, the more people who use something, the more valuable it becomes for everyone. And in that kind of game, there can only be one winner. Pretty soon, both companies realized their original ideas just weren't catching fire. But then, they both stumbled onto the exact same killer feature, completely by accident: sending money through email. And just like that, the fight for the internet's wallet was officially on. So how do you get a ton of users fast? Well, they went for a super radical cash-burning strategy. They just gave away free money. PayPal offered you $10 to sign up and another 10 for every friend you referred. Not to be outdone, Elon Musk's X.com went even bigger, offering a crazy $20 just to get you in the door. It was a high-stakes race to see who would go broke last. This is just peak dot-com bubble insanity. Think about it. Between the sign-up bonuses and the credit card fees they had to eat, PayPal was losing an incredible $100,000 every single day. The more popular they got, the faster they bled cash. Their whole business model was basically a ticking time bomb. And here's the thing neither company saw coming. Their services found this massive, hungry audience: eBay users. Before PayPal, if you bought something on eBay, you had to mail a check or a money order. It was so slow. Email payments were a complete game changer, and eBay suddenly became the main front in this war for who would own online payments. All right, so with both companies just hemorrhaging cash and stuck in this brutal fight, they had a choice: merge or both die. What happened next was a super tense merger, a shocking mutiny, and the birth of a true Silicon Valley dynasty. So in early 2000, the two rivals merged under the X.com name. But let me tell you, it was not a happy marriage. The two teams clashed on everything. The PayPal guys were all about Linux. The X.com team used Microsoft. One side was a scrappy, lean startup. The other had Elon's huge corporate vision. It was an absolute disaster just waiting to happen. And the tension finally exploded. Elon, who was the CEO of the new company, made a huge mistake. He wanted to get rid of the PayPal brand completely and just use X. That was the last straw for the original PayPal crew. So while Musk was away on his honeymoon, Peter Thiel and Max Levchin staged a full-on coup. They basically told the board, fire Elon or we all walk. By the time Elon got back, it was over. He was out. With Peter Thiel back in charge, the company rebranded back to PayPal and finally found its groove. They cracked down on fraud, actually started making money, and went public in 2002. And then, just a few months later, their old battleground, eBay, bought them for a massive $1.5 billion. So the eBay buyout was the end of that chapter. But for the original team, man, it was just the beginning. This group became known as the PayPal Mafia. They took the money and the brutal experience they'd gained and went on to create or fund some of the biggest companies you use every day. Their impact on the internet as we know it is it's undeniable. It really seems like the perfect Hollywood ending to a startup story, doesn't it? But if we fast forward to today, the story takes a much, much darker turn. For a lot of its users, the innovative little startup that was once their champion has become something else entirely. Just look at the numbers. On Trustpilot, PayPal has a jaw-droppingly bad rating of 1.3 out of 5 stars, and that's from tens of thousands of reviews. That's not just a bad score, that's a sign of a deeply broken relationship with its users, especially when you see the industry average is almost 4 out of 5. So, what on earth happened? Well, the complaints all tell the same depressing story. People talk about having their accounts and all their money frozen for 6 months with no good reason, a move that can literally destroy a small business. They talk about hostile customer service, fees that keep creeping up, and a dispute system that they feel almost always sides with scammers.
But it was a recent policy that just took things to a whole new level of crazy. PayPal announced it could fine users $2,500 for posting misinformation. The backlash was instant and huge. Even a former president of PayPal called it insanity. The idea that your payment processor could take your money because it didn't like what you said online was, for so many people, a terrifying step too far.
Facing this massive firestorm, PayPal did backtrack pretty quickly, claiming the whole policy was just a mistake and was released in error. But for so many people, the damage was done. It was this chilling reminder of how much power the company has. And for a business that is supposed to be built on trust, it was a really devastating blow.
And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? PayPal's story is one of incredible, game-changing innovation, but it's also a serious cautionary tale. The company that started as this scrappy underdog, the hero for the little guy, has become, in the eyes of many, the exact kind of corporate monster it was created to disrupt. It leaves us with this really tough question. Can a company that has lost the trust of so many people ever truly win it back?